So if I was to ask the first question, how did Sunnamusk first come about?
So, there was a section of the van that we turned into a shop.
Or the back end with the boot? Yeah, I think that's...
So we kind of designed it to be like a shop. And the reason for that was we kept on getting chased by the market officers. So we're like, you know what, we need to find a better way of doing a run. So every time I'd come back from airport, freshly energized, like with the jet fuel smell and all of that stuff, I was like, you know what, I need to make Sunnamusk work. Otherwise, like, there is no chance. Like, there is no hope. I'll be back in a job. And remember, I didn't like doing the mini cabin job. I hated it. My goal was, Firnas, it wasn't meant to happen so early. And in 2013 or something, my wife once made a comment saying, yeah, I'll call you a man or something if you do it. Yeah.
Right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Mint in Minds podcast, and I'm here with another, I like to say, legend in the game. We've got Kazi. Is it Kazi?
Kazi Rahman.
Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you for coming over and including me in your journey.
Oh, it's an honor to have you on the podcast, and I'm glad that you've agreed to jump on the podcast because there's a lot that we want to unpack. I was doing a bit of research into yourself, as I do with all my guests. And I was thinking there's so much to unpack. Where do we start? So we'll start from the beginning, obviously. I came across you from a documentary on Channel 4 where you were starting your airline business. And that's something that we definitely want to get into, dig down in and see what happened, what's happening. But before that, your entrepreneurial journey started with Sunnamusk. So if I was to ask the first question, how did Sunnamusk first come about?
So Sunnamusk came about as a result of the determination behind Sunnamusk for it to succeed came from my passion for aviation. So if I take you guys slightly kind of backward in time, I was working in London City Airport. So we grew up, all my family members, we grew up in Bangladesh. We were born and raised in Bangladesh. I arrived in the UK in 1997, April, attended school, and then obviously fast forward, work life began. I got a job in London City Airport as an aircraft cleaner.
Wow.
At that time, that was the most fascinating job for me. And you may ask how and why. It's because it involved planes, and that gave me flashback memories from my childhood days. So I saw one plane, it was landing in Sylhet Airport in Bangladesh, because my father used to travel back and forth between London and Sylhet every year. So once I got the opportunity to see the plane land, and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. This thing lands and, it's got loads of people inside and they're coming out and it was just so magical. And then that job gave me the flashback memories of my childhood days in village. And I thought, you know what, I need to kind of get close to it and I want to know, what this is all about.
So your passion grew from you first seeing an aeroplane to an extent where you just wanted to be close to an airplane, to a point where you're willing to do a cleaner's job.
Yeah, and I have done every odd jobs there were, you name it, bog drops. I've done it all. But I think second year or third year of my job, it became better because I moved from one cleaning company to a catering company. So I was dealing with a lot of food at that time. And that's when I started gaining a lot of weight as well, because I got a lot of free food and, French croissants that, really was all fresh food. And I kept on eating and eating. But that's obviously another story for another day.
To be fair, that happened to me. I used to own a dessert shop and then...
I'm so skinny, I was so skinny. I could hold my kind of waist with both my hands. And then from that job, I gained a lot of weight. So I was driving all day and having sandwiches all day.
But it's so easy to do that, isn't it? Because you're so engrossed in whatever you're doing.
And you know what? The funny thing is, when I used to go college and school, I used to ask my friends, how do I gain weight? Yeah, like people ask the opposite question.
I
Like,
did that say probably you.
yes, now that I kind of like, realize, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, through that job, I started gaining weight. But what it allowed me to do is delve deeper into the world of aviation. I got exposed to all the kind of nuts and bolts of aviation, starting right from security all the way till, dispatching and meeting pilots and cabin crews and, really asking so many questions. And that really made me realize, wow, like this is something that I would love to be part of one day.
So at that point, you getting a job into the airport, you knew that was something that you wanted to do. Was it something already planned in your head that I want to have my own airline eventually?
No,
Or
no,
is it-
because there was a battle between my mind was battling with each other. I mean, one side was battling with each other.
Okay.
So one side was saying, who are you? Like, who do you think you are? Like, what makes you think,
The
guy from a village from some place in Bangladesh, what makes you think you're going to be, aiming to do something like the Bransons do?
Yeah.
So who are you? Another part of me was where my colleagues were encouraging. So I had a lot of senior colleagues, who are probably retired and they just wanted to kind of do a cleaning job just to kind of keep themselves busy. And they were like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, you're like 21 and you're doing this job. Like, get out there, go back out and, do something. Okay, if you can't do anything, just go and learn to fly one of these planes. I was like, no, I can't do that. I don't have college degrees. I don't have university degrees. So, yeah, I'm nobody. So I was very dismissive of myself at that time.
Okay, that's
I was very, very dismissive. I was like, I'm nobody. I can't do it. A cleaner is all right. And then John Wiley, he said, yeah, go and look into it. Maybe you don't need those degrees. And then, alhamdulillah, I realized, to be part of that industry, even to become a pilot, you don't need necessarily, degrees in
It's
science. And
very expensive to become
it's very
I
expensive.
heard it's
for
like
sure.
£110,000.
It is around that figure. However, my thing was I'm not an educated person, so I can't do it. So I kind of always dismissed the aspect. And then I realized, no, I can do it. So I went back to school.
No, but okay, before you that happened, like what made you go from, oh, I can't do this is so out of my league, which is understandable because even me, to now think, okay, you know what, I'm going to start something as big as an airline. Even I tell myself now, you're messing with the big league, at least build yourself up to a point where you can compete.
So that's what I was hoping to do. So I did research as my colleague suggested, and I didn't need any particular GCSEs to start training or to start flying training.
Okay.
And I'm talking about 2007 at that time. So I did look into it and I realized, it's nice to have few GCSEs in chemistry and science and maths and English, of course. I thought, I'm going to start with English because I have zero GCSEs. I messed around because, first of all, I started from secondary school when I arrived in the UK. So I didn't know a lot of things. So, alhamdulillah, I had a one-to-one teacher that taught me English, the basics of English. And then I think that really helped me, get the hang of English language. And then that's the subject that I picked. So I went to evening school. So I started going evening schools. So I used to do my job in the morning. And then evenings I would go to English classes and, try and get a GCSE under my belt. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, with a lot of effort, I did end up with a B in English.
Mashallah.
So I was like,
You done better than English people?
I was quite proud. And so from that point, and then something else happened. Then the credit crunch happened in 2008. So I was banking on my job to pay me well so I can continue. By then, I've already taken a few flying lessons already. Okay. So I'm fully kind of in love with the whole process. And
how much is a flying lesson?
It's about, I think at that time it was 150 or something.
Okay, so you was trying to invest everything you had.
Yeah. So my goal was, so the job, if the job is paying me say £1,500 a month, at that time that's how much it was, driving a lorry on airside. So what happened was credit crunch happened, and obviously the company needed to offload a lot of people. And unfortunately, it happened to be the blacks and the Asians to begin with. And my excuse was, I guess it was a mistake on my part. So I used to drive a moped to work, to get to the to my workplace quickly. And then once I told my colleague, let me lock my bike up, and can you just clock me in upstairs? And that's the kind of offense they used to kind of sack me, which was, of course, a blessing, which I later realized.
Okay.
So I went back to job center. No job, no more flying dreams, no more ambitions.
Were you crushed at that point? Were you like, okay, that's it?
I was trying to get more jobs. I was trying to get back into the airport with another job, like maybe security officer. But then, do you know what it is? I even applied for Heathrow Airport. I got accepted as security officer. And then my manager, he said, look, I'll give you 50p extra per hour. It's close to your home. Just stay.
Okay.
Because I was a good worker. Like when I used to put my effort in, I would do it so well. Yeah, I used to be kind of funny and I used to kind of be goofy, from time to time. And I guess we had our banter. But when it came to work, I was serious. So he kind of retained me for 50p an extra per hour.
He grabbed you by the 50p.
Exactly. And then I tried to go back to City Airport and apply for other jobs like ground services, security. Everyone kept on just declining me. I was like, look, I know the airport. I've worked here. I've been here for 2 years. Give me a chance. So no, it didn't happen. I went back to job center signing on, for I guess few months. And then my brother suggested, my eldest brother, he was minicabbing at that time. He said, look, you should maybe join minicabbing. That was way before Uber came along. And that's what I done, to keep myself going. I started minicabbing. I done that for about a year. So it was night time. So I would go, me and my brother would leave at the same time from the same house. And we'd kind of meet again just before Fajr, we'd have breakfast together. But it was a very interesting experience, experience that I didn't want to experience any longer, because I was finding a way to get out, because it was daunting. Because at that time, you don't know who's coming in your car. You don't know how they're going to behave. You don't even know if they're going to pay you or not. And my first job was, when I first started minicabbing, the guy didn't pay me. So you're always in that fear.
Your first job.
Yeah, it was so disappointing. And that was my only job that day. So after it was nighttime. So from I think 12 midnight till about 6 a.m. I was so anxious, and I got one job, and then eventually they didn't even pay me because I mixed up the drops. So I was supposed to drop one guy off first, and because of that, he said, no, I'm not paying you. Anyway, I was dreading it. I didn't want to do that job anymore. And then my second brother, who was studying in Egypt at that time, and that's where Sunnamusk kind of starts unfolding. He was studying in Egypt. He's a perfume fanatic. That's how I describe him.
Which brother is this?
Kazi Rahman.
Okay.
He's currently the Imam in Regent's Park Mosque,
Mashallah.
Central London. The first Asian Imam to be appointed in that mosque. So it's quite a big thing. So he was studying in Egypt, and because he loves perfume, and by then I've failed a number of businesses. So I've had a sweet shop. I've had a car buying and selling business. What else did I do? I done a lot of things on the side.
Up until that point, you were just messing about with different.
Yeah. So while I was working in City Airport, I wasn't kind of standstill. I was doing stuff on the side. So I would buy and sell cars.
Yeah, hustler mentality.
From the proceeds of the car sales, I don't know why we did it, but I think now that I look back, the story was we needed a place to meet our clients. We didn't feel safe meeting car buyers at home. So we were looking for a small office, and then that supposed office was a retail shop that had 2 massive Coca-Cola fridges, and we're like, you know what, this is good for a sweet shop. And this is what we did.
You're just winging it at this point.
Literally, with no plan, no kind of direction, and we're just kind of just hustling away. So we saved about £7,000, and we invested all of that into a sweet shop, which eventually flopped. And then I came across something very important. it was called Success Education. So I signed up to this. So while Sunnamusk was happening, the early days of Sunnamusk, my brother saying, you failed a few businesses. Maybe you can use some of your experiences, into this. We'll put some money together, about around £600. All 5 brothers.
Was that a course?
No, so Success Education was a course. It was like so what you have aloe vera and
Oh, okay. So like a pyramid.
That product was not a physical product. The product itself was Success Education.
Okay.
Oh, so it's like a course.
Yes, so
You're
it's
selling the
multi-level
course.
marketing.
Well, yeah.
Some people call it pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, wow, this is like, and this is when my mind started unlocking. Because remember, I was saying, I was dismissive of myself. Who am I? Who the hell do you think you are?
Mm.
That Success Education from the people the likes of Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, these people were saying something completely opposite to what I was hearing in my kind of circle and society.
Limited beliefs and
And these guys were saying set goals, and it doesn't matter how big it is. Set it, adjust it. Keep going, keep going for it. Have a methodological framework process.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in 2 minds, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try anyway, because I'm quite open to trying new things. So we started this Sunnamusk business on the side. At the same time, I'm going through this process of Success Education, and I guess the biggest takeaway from the education was unlocking my thinking. So self-learning and all of that helped me unlock my thinking. And the other biggest takeaway was being exposed to sales and marketing and leadership. So three elements that I got exposed to. So you have to sell the course to other people. You have to convince other people to come and join your team. And marketing, obviously, you have to go and find people, look in your network, who might be interested. And then leadership, you have to make sure that these people come with you to the weekly kind of seminars. So, and these are so vital. Those I feel like Allah was just getting me ready kind of through a process to be able to hopefully now, so for Sunnamusk not to be a failure.
It was kind of equipping you with all the skills and everything that you needed. Because if you think about it, those aspects are core in every business, no matter what business it is. Sales, marketing, innovation, and all these things are crucial in any business. So it's like, at that point, did you realize how big Sunnamusk was going to be?
So when we were starting Sunnamusk, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just selling attars, as we call it. It wasn't even meant to be a business. It was just one of those things that we were trying. Because I was kind of like, hurt that I've failed so many businesses. And when you fail businesses, at least in our society, it's like a record or like a black spot on your history. Like, you've got this many failures associated to you. So you kind of like don't want to take that risk anymore, because there will be another kind of black spot on your history.
The people around you, do they say, "Yo, you've flopped so many
Because
times"?
in the Asian community, you know what people are like.
Yeah.
It's like the people around you, your close family, they're the first ones to point out, he's failed, or he's done this.
Yeah. So all of that was happening. So there was one point someone would say, "So which business are you doing now?"
Okay. So what business was it?
It was very frequent in terms of the.
You know why I'm laughing as well?
Because
I've said the exact same thing with this guy. Yeah.
he's an hater.
No.
Hater.
I've said to him, there's going to be one business, bro, that you're going to explode in. You just got to find that business, because he's one of those guys. He's not scared of trying.
Same, like,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
No matter how many times he'll try something, and it won't necessarily fail. It will just find a new shiny thing.
Yeah.
Oh, let me try that. Let me try that.
Yeah.
And I go, just stick with one, and I guarantee you'll be.
Yeah.
Mashallah, he's doing well now.
Alhamdulillah.
He's going to be growing, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
So when you said that, that's one of the things that I said to him. So what means this?
Literally.
Yeah, so with Sunnamusk, I didn't know it was going to be big, but I think after a few kind of sessions of trading in different events and different, Jummas and, going to fun fairs, we realized actually, this could be something quite interesting, because
Potential.
there is potential. if it was packaged properly and well, and if it was presented properly, because normally you would find athars in Islamic shops. So there was a kind of association with Hajj, Umrah, and Islamic shops and athar, like, or prayer. And we were like, no, this can be more than that. This can be kind of an appeal to more people, because the fragrance that we were selling, they weren't your strong, the mosque type fragrances, the ones I'm talking about, where uncles wear like a certain type of fragrances. So everyone would
uncle go in Jumma.
them ones. Yeah, so people would associate athar with this, but to us, athar is oil based, and it could be any fragrance. It could be a kind of duplicate of a designer fragrance, and that's what was very interesting. So at that time we were like, you know what, let's make it slightly bigger. Let's take it a step forward, and let's maybe try and make it a bit more consistent, because we've done events up and down the country. We went to Dewsbury, we went to Birmingham, Walsall. There was a big event that used to happen in Walsall.
Yeah,
there's a big mosque, and we'd go there, and we'd make decent money. And it was all on the side of everything that we were doing. So I was doing minicabbing, and the days I wasn't working, I would do that.
So you guys were on the hustle at that point?
Like, literally, right, left, and center.
Any free time?
Whatever we could get our hands on, we'd do it. I would even go to, during Ramadan, Asr prayer, Maghrib prayer. Not Maghrib because that was iftar time, but definitely Tarawih prayer. So we were hustling our way, and we ended up buying a van. Because it served two purposes. One, it needed to kind of hold all our kind of equipments for the stalls, market stalls, and B, there was a section of the van that we turned into a shop.
Or the back end where the booth. I think.
So we kind of designed it to be like a shop, and the reason for that was we kept on getting chased by the market officers. So we're like, you know what, we need to find a better way of doing a run. So as soon as the market officer comes, shut the doors and off you go.
That's quite smart.
And then that's what we've done. So it was a storage facility as well as a showroom on the move, and that was actually, I didn't think it was going to kind of, make so many people interested in what we're doing. But that van did really make a lot of people curious. Like, okay, it's like an ice cream van concept, but with perfume.
That's quite smart.
Yeah, so it was always on the move, and that gave us some kind of consistency. So we would go to more events, and it was just kind of a case of finding the right spot, arrive early, and just open the doors.
Also, like, that would give you hope as well, thinking, this is actually something. This is something that we could turn into an actual business. And like you said, kind of commercialize it to a wider audience, where it doesn't necessarily have to be sort of assigned to, like, just Islamic type of communities. Is that when you thought, okay, you know what, let's just turn this into an actual brand?
So Abid, the current CEO, my youngest brother, he was studying in graphics and design at that time. So alhamdulillah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So we knew we needed a name. The name was given by the brother who suggested about the business, Kazi Rahman, Sunnamusk. So it was initially two words. And we thought, you know what, because we're going to be so big in our mind, in our vision, now that we're serious about it, it needs to be together. It can't be too blatant to say English people.
Did that come from Abid? Because he come from a designing.
I think my sister was involved at that point as well. My sister, so she's married now, but she was also involved in the whole process. I think we all kind of came up with the idea, look, let's just try and combine the both words. Instead of, let's remove the H and let's turn it into one word. That way it's one simple word. And for those who kind of might doubt or who might have questions, they might just think it's something to do with sun or something, something to do with exoticness. So we kind of thought, let's call it Sunnamusk. For Muslims, we'll get it. We will know what it is. And for non-Muslims, it's just a name.
They'll just think it's a quirky brand.
So you're not alienating anyone at the same time. However, the Muslim community will understand what it means. Whereas your non-Muslim community, your audience, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Quirky name.
Is that what the feedback's been like with the...
We later realized, actually, non-Muslim people think slightly differently. They took it a bit kind of a step further down the roots of Shia and Sunni. So they kind of like, because that's more prominent. So they kind of got confused with the idea of like, because in schools that you're taught about Shia and Sunnism.
Oh,
So they think, oh, it's just to do with the Islamic sect, right? And I was like, no, like, you know, it's to do with prophetic tradition. So yeah, I think that's a challenge that we kind of, and we've done a lot of kind of, we asked a lot of English people questions. Like, what do you think of the name?
yeah.
What do you make of it? And I think every time we asked, it was always kind of to do with the sects of Islam.
That's
Right.
a good point, because you know that market research. A lot of people might overlook market research, especially now. You just because you think you know all the answers.
No, you don't. Trust
You
me.
don't. Because that's an example of something that I wouldn't have even thought about.
Yeah.
You know, like the non-Muslim community thinking.
I wouldn't
okay,
even-
that's
yeah,
a Shia
yeah,
thing.
Yeah, that's what they
It's the only time you're gonna find that out is asking that, or asking like you've done,
Yeah.
guys have done, and ask your community,
Yeah.
what do you think of this name? They've said, oh, is it a sex thing?
Yeah.
That's the only time you're gonna realize these pain points or whatever it is that you
Yeah.
can address at that point. So that's another thing that, guys, if you're watching, market research is definitely proof.
No,
Did you
definitely.
think about it, like rebranding it at that stage, or
No, we thought,
was it?
I guess we kind of, we thought, you know what? A name is a name. I mean, a logo of a brand probably plays about 10% into the whole mix. So it's not really, it's what you do with that logo. It's what
100%.
that logo stands for, what's
agree.
underneath that logo.
Look at the Apple logo.
Exactly.
Look how simple
It's just
it
an
is.
apple.
Look at the brand name,
Yeah.
Apple. But look what it is. It's one
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
valued.
So yes, we thought, you know, we'll stick to it and we'll carry on, but we'll develop the brand in such a way where it's kind of over time people will get it. It's just a brand, and you know, and yes, people who are interested in knowing more about the brand, we explain to them, look. So some people ask that what does your name mean? And then we say, look, Prophet used to love wearing musk, and it's a vice versa thing. Like, so sunnah is sunnah to wear musk, and to wear musk is sunnah. So
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
yeah,
So it's like a interesting way of doing dawah.
yeah, absolutely.
When would you say like the biggest break has been for you guys? When did you realize that, you know what, we're onto something? Like this is something that it's going to change our lives. Because, you know, alhamdulillah, if you look at Sunnamusk now, if we look at the size of this, like how many stores have you got open now?
So currently we've got around 25, and we've got plans to open 12 more.
Mashallah, look at that. Like, you know, from a small stall, from your back of the van.
Me being the only employee at £2.50p, and that's kind of pay my lunch money and my mobile phone bill at that time.
There you go.
Don't expose the company that they're gonna get
Like it was me, so it was a bad decision to kind of pay.
when you're paying yourself. Oh,
Yeah.
slave labor. Standard though.
But I think the breakthrough was when we started trading in Whitechapel market. So before that, we tried a few other markets, and we were like, no, it's not making sense. You know, making £70 after standing all day long. No,
Was it because there was just no demand at that point? Or
there was demand. The demand was elsewhere, and the kind of supposed narrative from other stallholders in that market, I think they just don't want new people to come in. They said, no, Whitechapel market is busy. Like, you're not going to get a spot.
What kind of market is that? Is that predominantly Asian or English or?
It's predominantly Asian, like, you know, fruit, vegetables, clothes, you know, scarves, you know, all
Yeah.
just like a market.
and Whitechapel was one of the biggest.
Whitechapel was the market at that time.
The market
It was
to
like
be.
so busy, and everyone kind of got used to the idea like you can't get a spot in
Oh,
Whitechapel.
so prestige.
Yeah, it's so prestige and it's so busy.
Yeah.
But I thought, you know what, like yourself, being the curious guy, I thought, you know, I'm gonna ask the market officer anyway. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't cost anything.
Mhm.
So one morning, I asked Martin, "Is that true? I can't trade in the other market." And he goes, "Yes, but it's not really true. Mate, just put your name down and come and see me at 10 o'clock. So I'll see who hasn't turned up that day from the permanent stallholders, and I'll put you in one of them pitches." And bingo, like, you know, first day we went and we got a spot, you know, pitch number 2 it was. And we set up, and alhamdulillah, we generated. So my goal was, if we make consistently about £100, I'll pay myself my £2.50 an hour, and it will have something on the side to kind of reinvest. Alhamdulillah, it was £200 from on first day.
That's crazy, because if you were to have listened to everyone else around you thinking, you know, that place, you can't go there,
Yeah.
bro, it's too hard. And if you have to listen to them, you probably wouldn't even be in the position that you're in today.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because we would have eventually given up, maybe, because Bethnal Green market was dead. Like, as I was saying, like, £75 after standing all day. And like, it was, I remember one Saturday it was raining, it was, storming, and we were there, like the whole store got flooded, and we just kind of aborted missions that day towards the end of the day because it was just too much.
How do you keep going then at that point? Because, if you look at people, the amount of businesses that fail in the first year, second year is like 90% of new businesses. So from your perspective, going through all of these hardships of like going out into the market, it's not doing that well, like what made you persevere? Like what made you think, there's still something here that we can...
I think there was remember I was saying my passion for aviation to how can I get back?
Also,
what I really love doing. Because so I'll travel to airports a lot to maybe see my dad off or someone off to Umrah or Hajj, because I love going to the whole airport. I love the experience. And you'd smell jet fuel when you go to the airport, and it's like that smell is amazing. Trust me, you guys might not get it, but the guys who got the aviation bug in them, they will know like what I'm
Jet
talking about.
musk.
Yes, yeah, but literally, you know what? We should do something. So every time I'd come back from airport, freshly energized, like with the jet fuel smell and all of that stuff, I was like, you know what? I need to make Sunnamusk work. Otherwise, like there is no chance. Like there is no hope. I'd be back in a job. And remember, I didn't like doing the mini cabin job. I hated it with passion.
Yeah.
So it had to work. There was a balance of like, it needed to make sense kind of in terms of when you sell a product, the pricing has to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of reinvest the money. It can't be so thin where you think, you know what, the effort is not worth it. So the pricing, the product has to be such that you can generate a certain margin, and that gives you the flexibility to reinvest the money. And at the same time, you have to kind of plug that in with just tons of dedication and determination and vision. Vision where you look at the big boys and you say to yourself, I want to be like them too. I want to be in Westfield too. I want to be in big shopping centers too. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, I like
if
that.
they can do it, they are human beings. I'm a human being. What's so different about me?
This is what I say to people. When they want to start a new business, whatever, I'll be like, look, the guys that are doing well in it, they're not like some sort of genius.
Exactly.
Like they're not got some high level IQ, and they know something that they've just tried and they persevered and they've been consistent in whatever they've done, and over time.
If you, at any business, I think if someone can do 3 years, like it's like let's say it's a sentence, it's a prison sentence for 3 years. Lock yourself up to that business. You don't need to do a house arrest to yourself. Lock yourself to that business. Don't look right or left. Don't look at other opportunities. Just focus on that one. And then you'll see year one would be, maybe first 6 months is going to be happy days. It's all very exciting. And then the reality will start kicking in. And then towards the year one, end of year one, you'll start facing some real difficulties. Year two is more about kind of building the team, because you're kind of trying to do everything and it's not possible to do everything. So you kind of disassociate yourself from certain aspects of the business. You start hiring team, you start managing team. This is teaching you how to manage a team as well. And then I think year three, you start seeing some sort of stability within the small team that you have. And then there will be another kind of wave maybe in year 7 or something where you're either staying small or you take a leap of faith and you say, you know what, I don't want to stay small and I'm going to go for...
Sometimes you can say you can get comfortable as well at that stage.
Yeah. So you can say up to maybe 5-6 branches, it'll pay you well, you'll get some money, it's okay. But then you have to make a decision which way you're going to go. Are you going to stay at that level, or are you going to kind of, lean forward and
take a risk?
Take a risk and go big.
So before we kind of get into Firnas, the airline that you started, I want to know with Sunnamusk, if you're looking back at the whole journey from day one to where it is today, a successful brand, mashallah. What would you say was the biggest obstacle that you had to come and overcome? Where it was like, whether it was mentally, physically, financially, like what was probably looking back?
Biggest obstacle was, the biggest one ever was getting into Westfield Shopping Centre.
And was that also the biggest payoff, or
Biggest payoff.
okay? So the
payoff
biggest
and biggest obstacle, like the biggest challenge. We banked everything on this one.
was it a biggest risk as well then?
I mean, we couldn't bank everything because we didn't have anything
Okay.
to bank. I mean, we banked our reputation for sure.
Okay.
So my father, obviously, he was quite an established person in the community, and he had a few friends that
Yeah.
kind of, because he was an imam, and they kind of had a lot of faith in him that he's not going to
Yeah.
mess around with them. So he kind of vouched to some of his friends to give us interest-free loans for maybe 2 months or 3 months until we kind of get the trade going in the shopping center. So that was one aspect. The money aspect was huge. Like, so we were trading in market stores and from a van and from here and there. We never had 100K saved in the bank account, and that's what was kind of
Is that how much
ultimately.
they were asking?
That's not with all the expenses, because normally you're packaging products in a small pouch, velvet pouch that you can take from anywhere, and you buy bags, carrier bags from the fitting shop, and you just go and buy as you need the carrier bags. Now you're becoming a brand, you're associating yourself with another major established brand, Westwood. They're not messing about. Every brand that comes, they have to go through a stringent,
Yeah.
curated process. They're not going to just let anybody in through the doors.
Exactly.
So we had to kind of go backwards and fix our branding, fix our packaging. There was a lot of things that we didn't have in place because we were just kind of that mentality. We're
winging it at that
Yeah,
point.
winging
Yeah.
Now we have to kind of think about, okay, if I want to make this box, it's 10,000 pieces minimum quantity. So we have to commit to that as well. We have to buy bags. We have to get everything branded. Before that, you have to convince the shopping center, look, we are worth your time.
So before Westfield, did you not have any stores at that point?
No. So we traded in various shopping centers. I mean, what we now call them as probably third tier shopping center.
Okay.
So Westfield, likes of Westfield, the destination shopping centers are your top tier. Like the big boy shopping
The
center.
go-to shopping center.
Yeah, the
Bullring.
Bullring, Trafford Center.
You guys are in the Bullring.
Yeah. So these are your top tier primary shopping centers. So to get into a primary from a third tier or even a second tier is a very, very big jump. And they're not going to just kind of accept anyone.
Yeah, they won't just let anyone in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they need
They've
to.
got a reputation as well.
They've got the brand, they've got their reputation to kind of manage, because they are promising to their customers a certain level of quality.
Yeah.
And that quality has to come from the retailers that they've picked.
Wow, so I didn't know that. I thought you had a few stores before you even approached Westfield.
So, yeah, we were trading in Ilford Shopping Centre for a while, and that's what really gave us the confidence,
Okay.
of being able to afford a shop, because we were paying £20 per day in a shop, in a market stall. So it's a pay as you go. You buy a voucher, you use the voucher, and then you repeat the process every day. Even if you needed electric from those little poles, you pay a 20p voucher, you buy a 20p voucher, you get electric for the day.
Okay.
If you use those floodlights, then you're using a few vouchers per day. But no, the Ilford Shopping Centre, just before Christmas of 2010, we gave it a go because it was impossible to trade outside on the streets.
Yeah.
It was cold, it was frozen, storm, rains, everything was I've faced every weather conditions, standing in the market stalls.
What year was this?
It was year 2010, end of 2010. And then we went briefly into Ilford Shopping Centre, and I almost fell off my chair when they said, you had to pay £1,500 a week.
In Ilford.
In Ilford. And that was just before Christmas. So,
£1,500 a week.
yeah, normally it's about £600. But because it was Christmas time and towards the end of the year, and we're like, what do we do? Either we go back to the stall and, freeze to death, or
So you went with it? You went with it?
we had to, because there was no way in hell I was going back to the market store. Because
You had no choice at that
don't forget,
point.
whatever decision I make, I can either comfort myself by being inside the shopping center in a warm place, or go back out there and, like I said, freeze to death.
But to be honest, the footfall would increase.
Of course, and all of
prices.
this is first time experience for us. So Ilford Shopping's we've never ever contemplated trading in a shopping center. And then me and my brothers, we all went to pitch our products alhamdulillah, it was a beautiful kind of
Was
moment.
that the first ever pitch that you guys done?
Yeah. We all of us brothers,
Were you rehearsing and stuff?
yeah, we went, we sat down with the mall management, and I think they probably saw the authenticity and sincerity in us, and that we're so driven. And they said, like, you know what, we've got the perfect spot. And I think it was outside always like the outside clothing stores worked for us.
Okay.
So I think at that time we were also outside a clothing store. And they said, yeah, that's the rent, and if you are interested, let us know by the end of the day, which is the next few hours. And we kind of we spoke to the wall and between each other, and we said, you know what's the worst could happen? At least I'm sure we'll make our money back. Let's just give it a go. And then alhamdulillah, with our mom's blessing, mom was always kind of encouraged she's very entrepreneurial. I think now that we look back, a lot of the risk-taking nature comes from her.
Was it comforting to know that you got your mom's backing?
Yeah,
It's like
it always worked, because her prayers and her that kind of protection in terms of saying go for it, because then at least you can come home and you've got your mom on your side. That's all that matters. Everyone can say whatever, but if you have your mom on your side, then alhamdulillah, it's good.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. She said, you know what, go for it, because she could see like how we're struggling, because she would wake me up every morning like she would make me breakfast and say, off you go. I couldn't even do a sick call because my mom wouldn't let me. So she was my manager effectively.
So what was it about Westfield that was so difficult?
It's because you are nobody. You are a trader. Effectively, you're a trader, like willy-nilly trader. And now you're coming into a framework,
Corporation.
a corporation, a setup, a system, a discipline. So they operate on disciplines, and you either be part of that discipline and get trained by that discipline, or you don't come in at all. So they saw again. So when we pitched, it was me at that time. So they said, so I sent an email, and next day they sent an email back saying, yeah, here's 65K plus VAT, service charge, blah, blah, blah. If you are interested, let us know. We'll make a visit to you. And at that time, luckily, we were still trading in Ilford, so we had something to show for.
Okay.
So the guy came down, and yeah, he saw us, and he said, yeah, I'll offer you a spot. I like where I like what I'm seeing, because at that time he saw we used to wear the whole Arab, the gear. Like we used to look like Arabs because we're selling Arabic type of products. We thought it only makes sense to kind of dress like one as well. No, a lot of Arabs weren't very pleased with that, because it's very sensitive subject. You're kind of using their dress. But we're like, hey man, I don't mind it. Exactly. So yeah, he really liked Bilmos. He liked everything that he saw. He said, yeah, we'll give you a spot. And then the guy went ghost for like 6 months on me. So he said to me, yeah, he'll give it to me. And then I was chasing. There was moments where I would, because now I've told everyone already, we're coming to Westfield. When there's a good news that you kind of like, you race to kind of like telling people. So
You're up the baby.
before you even made it. So now the pressure is building up on me. Like I've said to people, including my own family members, and they say like, what's happening? Like, is it going to happen or not?
That's self-inflicting pressure that
Yeah.
like, you put that on yourself at that point.
Yeah, and you know what? It's good. And this is what I was saying to you guys before, like the podcast. Like sometimes put yourself under pressure. Add more cost to yourself.
Add more cost.
And if you add cost, then you have to answer.
High risk, high reward.
You kind of hack the situation to be in a position where you have to take action.
I agree with that.
That's what I've done. So that's what I tend to do with a lot of things. So I kind of plant few seeds in different places where people would ask me questions that if they see me, hey,
you still use that strategy now then? Do you still, so to this day,
it always works. So if you see some people frequently, say to them what you're going to do, and next time you meet them, they're going to hold you accountable. And they'll ask you like, hey, what's happening with that? Yeah, absolutely. So it really puts you on hot water.
If you can thrive under pressure,
yeah. So
after the races, and then
so I kept on chasing the guy, and I would even turn up in their offices without any appointments. I was like, I'm looking for this guy, and they'll be like, you can't just turn up. And then I went back to the original guy who I communicated with, Ian Mitchell, who's now part of the board as well in Sunnamusk. We convinced him to come and join the board 10 years later.
Wow.
And he said, you know what, by tomorrow, 9 o'clock or something, someone will get in touch with you.
So who's this guy? What was his role?
He was the boss of the other guy that was airing me.
Oh, and you've got him as an employee now.
He's an advisor, yeah. Consultant advisor. So he guides us on kind of rollout, expansion, strategy and stuff like that. So, yeah, that guy did call back and he said, I'm going to send you the heads of terms, review it. You've got a week to review it and come back to us. And we're like, oh no, like now it's happening. Now what do we do? Like, what is this? You're thinking like, yeah, the money will come. We'll sort the money out. We'll sort out the money later.
Yeah.
Now it's here. Now the pressure is on. Like you have to either sign it saying yes or no.
So you've been applying the pressure and other pressure's been applied.
Now the pressure is on me again, like, where you have to make a decision. So I would go to my friends, some of the property friends that I know, and I said, look, what do I do? And one of the guy who gave me really good confidence said, listen, just submit the goddamn thing, just go for it.
Yeah.
Just see. And then mom also said the same thing. So just do it. And then, that's what we done. We signed it off and they said, come in for a meeting, the retailer meeting or something, where they walk you through. At that time, it was still a construction site. They showed us the location and this is the design pack. And this is what you have to do. And everything was new. Like, there's so many rules and processes you have to go through. And they're not just random rules. Like, if you don't follow it, they will reject.
You know what this reminds me of? Looking back, watching your documentary, the moment where you were signing the lease for that first airplane, first plane that you like, you didn't know how it was going to pan out, but you just signed it anyway.
Yeah, as long as my mom said yes. And some
over £1 million lease, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah? Some people think it's like your mommy's boy, but bro, like,
mom's the one.
We are all emotional creatures, and at the end of the day, when the whole world is shut, when you're at home, who do you have? It's your family.
Yeah, family, yeah.
So if they are there by you, then alhamdulillah, everything's going to be okay. So, we signed it off. We went through the whole process. And then I think in 2012, on November of 2012, we started trading in Westfield. Man, that was a journey and a half. Like, how we got the money together, how we got the guys to convince, and then getting the kiosk manufactured, because one guy flopped us. He was supposed to build our kiosk and install it on the day of opening of Westfield Shopping Centre. He did not deliver. Thankfully, though, he refunded all the money.
Oh, you're lucky now.
And this is not our money. We borrowed that money from other people. Temporary loan.
Pressure.
And we had to find another guy. And that time, the guy that we picked afterwards was one of the guys that we spoke to before picking the other guy.
So you had to go back.
And then we went back to his end, and then because it was local, we could go. Like, we'd turn up in Walthamstow somewhere, every other day, like, just to kind of check if it's happening. If it's happening, because you have this kind of anxiety now, like, is this guy going to do the same thing? So alhamdulillah, everything went fine, smoothly. The guys delivered, they installed overnight, and we were trading on 11th of November 2011. I clearly remember that day. Man, it was a journey and a half, but I would say the most kind of, I guess, the best decision ever. It could, maybe if we didn't hold it together, it would have kind of failed, because just going into Westfield wasn't, because now you have colossal amount of costs on you, and you have to make it work. And if you don't, and there's loads of retailers from Westfield, they're dropping out. It's just not working out.
I got a question. If you knew how hard it was going to be to get into Westfield, would you have done it? Like, knowing what you know now, the process of how hard it was.
I think I still would have done it, because I know the results.
No, but if you didn't know about the results, but you knew about the process,
maybe it would have put me off. But I think it's like such a big thing happening on your doorstep. Olympic is happening, Westfield Shopping Centre is opening, and if you miss the opportunity, it may not come again. So you have to somehow, convince yourself.
You seem like the type of person, like business runs in your blood. Like, there was no other way your life was going to go other than being in business.
I was always part of a business. Like, whether I was working for someone or not, there was always something going on the side.
And I think And we all know if it's easy, then everyone will do it. You know what I mean? Like there has to be some sort of hardship that you even in your subconscious will know that I know I'm gonna have to go through some troubles, some downs and struggles that you're gonna have to overcome. That's just part of.
I think there's an element of proving as well.
Yeah.
Proving that you can do it, and maybe you experienced certain things when you were young. Maybe when you went to school, like you felt like maybe left out. Maybe you felt like I'm inadequate. I'm not capable. And when you get the opportunity to prove yourself, you kind of give it your best shot to prove yourself, and not just prove, but because you've got a much bigger motivation behind everything. The aviation is yet to come. And that's when I realized, forget being a pilot, forget doing a job. I want to launch it. I want to be the guy who's going to own it.
So getting through these obstacles, one of them being, getting into Westfield, it's a big hill that you climbed over. And, alhamdulillah, you've managed to persevere to a point where you were going in the right direction with Sunnamusk. Was that the confidence that you got and then decided, you know what, I can actually start my own airline?
I think it made me believe in myself.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe in myself before. And doing all of that with the help of my family and my brothers and, alhamdulillah, with my parents' blessings, it gave me the confidence that, because at the end of the day, the business principles are pretty much same. Doesn't matter which business you do. Yes, some businesses are easier, but with ease comes a lot of kind of competition. So I thought, what's the worst could happen? My goal was Firnas was not it wasn't meant to happen so early.
Okay.
And in 2013 or something, my wife once made a comment saying, "Yeah, I'll call you a man or something if you do it."
Yeah.
She kind of challenged.
You what? You can, if you're a man, make that aviation project come true.
Yo, like I don't think I'm a man anymore.
No, but you try it.
Yeah, so I think I took on the challenge and
Fair play, because it's not an easy challenge. That's not.
Oh, that's a mental.
It's an insult, bro.
Yeah, but that's bad for you to do that. I was saying it to him earlier on. I was like, bro, for this guy here to start aviation thing,
do you consider it?
Bro, he's either mad, or he's like just
bit of
ambitious.
Yeah, a bit of both.
Highly ambitious.
I think I was young, and the age was slightly in my favor, because if it was to happen now, I don't think I would kind of take that stress on. I don't think I would kind of embark on that project, because I would be too sensible, too kind of cautious and too calculative. So I would probably not embark on it. But I think I was still 26 or 27. I thought, yeah, why not?
Was it like an impulsive decision?
It was impulsive, and it was more about research. So research kind of dragged me into reality. So the more research I'd done, the more kind of I felt like, this is so fun.
Okay.
This is interesting.
The documentary, and for those of you who are watching, there has been a documentary on Channel 4 with a brother's story on when he was starting your airline. And it seemed as if, like, because you had an advisor at that time.
Yeah.
And he kind of seemed like the sensible one. And he was trying to calm you down and like, let's think about this. Whereas you're like, no, why not? Let's go do it. It's only $1 million. Do you get me? So, like, is that what you're talking about? Because you're kind of maybe a bit naive to the industry, maybe, or in business in general. Because there was a few times where I don't know who exactly mentioned it, but it's like, I think it was your wife actually that said, oh, it's not like another perfume business. It's not just like another market store. Like, this is one of the biggest industries that you could get into. And it's like you're taking the same approach, like you're just starting up a market store.
Yeah, I think that was a naive, very naive kind of aspect to myself at that time.
Yeah.
I just thought, if this could work, why couldn't this? But it's just a completely different ball game. Absolutely, yeah. And you're playing with like sharks. You're playing in the ocean at that time. Yeah. In aviation, you are really dealing with some seriously intelligent people. Anyone can run with who's got a decent kind of level of commercial understanding. Anyone can run a retail business. Yeah. Anyone can run a on-the-ground business. But to run an aviation business, it really requires the smartest of the smartest of the smartest.
Okay, just a bit of context. Firnas as it stands now is at a halt, would you say?
Just before pandemic, it came to a
Okay.
very sad grinding halt, and pandemic kind of really kind of pushed it on the edge, where it really took a lot toll on me as a person in terms of severe anxiety, depression, because you kind of work super hard to get it to a stage where it was nothing, like it was absolutely nothing. It was just an idea and my wife's comment, I'll call you a man. That was it. And then for it to take some sort of shape and form and people believing in it. And it's not just people in your localities, it's now a worldwide thing, through the documentary. And through the documentary, on top of the documentary, there was that news article coverage. So it wasn't even just the
There's serious people involved in that business.
Yeah, and to see all come to a grinding halt, it really kind of took a massive...
Did you make the whole Sunnamusk brand, to start this?
My own, maybe not my brother's motivation, because they're not really interested in it.
But your
My personal drive was I have to be part. Yeah, I have to be part of aviation, and I have to be in it. And to make that happen, I need to prove myself with one thing, and that one thing was at that time Sunnamusk.
Yeah, because I think, generally speaking, in business, 90% of the battle is in your head.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in yourself and you got limiting beliefs and you think, I can't do that. Even if it is, to a point where starting a shop or whatever it is, to you, it might be a small thing now because you've done it for so long. Whereas to someone that hasn't been in business, to open up a brick and mortar type business and paying rent on a regular basis and you've got staff to pay.
It's hard. Trust me,
it's a
hard.
pressure.
It's hard. It's definitely, even we're in retail. Now we've got multiple stores. It is hard because if the customers don't come and buy from you, then your cost doesn't stop. Your landlord isn't going to say to you, it's okay, this month you haven't made enough money. We can see that. It's okay. You don't need to pay. The staff are not going to say, Shafiq, buy, it's okay. It's fine. We'll understand.
I know you had a crap week. So I'm working free.
It does not happen.
My bills are still there. Put that out there. Oh, fuck this week.
Sorry for that.
It does not happen. You'll get...
I wish they said that. I wish it. Landlord rings you. Don't worry about this kid, bro.
No, you're going to get a ACAS letter. So instead of that comforting kind of thought, you're going to get a letter from ACAS. And of course, you have to...
Bro, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. It doesn't matter which business. If the customers are not buying from you, then we've got trouble.
Okay, so with the Firnas journey, I want to discuss a little bit about that because your whole narrative around Firnas was it was a Shariah-compliant airline. Now, with that came its struggles as well. One of them, from watching the documentary, was not serving alcohol on board and little things like that. And then another big moment was the moment where it looked as if you were about to backtrack. And, there was a point in the podcast, in the documentary where it was like, is he being a hypocrite?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the kind of struggles that, because I know you're very much into your faith, practicing Muslim, and one of your drives was to have like a Muslim-run airline. To get to a point where you're even considering to backtrack, there must have been certain things that have come up, some obstacles that have made you think, I don't know if this is going to be the right direction.
So, to me, Sharia compliance and Sharia enforcement are two different things.
Okay.
Our business was not about Sharia enforcement.
Yeah.
It was more about compliance. Compliance is when you comply with certain guidelines. So we are compliant with the Westfield's, brand guidelines and their brand directions. However, if we don't do it, then they will enforce it. With our business, it was not an enforcement aspect. It was more just kind of, we like certain aspects. I mean, all that, even in our Sunnamusk business, we don't deal with any interest or riba or any form of anything that involves bank loans, that involves riba and interest. So for that reason, we don't even take bank loans. We don't even have a credit card. We don't even have any overdraft facilities.
It's just investments. Is it?
It was just pure kind of reinvesting. So we never took any money until I guess 10 years on or something into the journey. It was just kind of, we kept on putting it all back in. So we all had to kind of survive somehow.
Bootstrap in the business.
Yeah. So No, of course, it's very difficult. It's absolutely it's so difficult.
Would you have started the journey? You get the question that he asked, knowing how difficult it has been. It's a Firnas airline.
It's such a hard one because the learning that I've had from the journey, I feel like was so worth it.
Okay.
The lessons, because before aviation, I was behind the scenes of Sunnamusk. Nobody knew kind of who was Sunnamusk. Most of the people thought it was an Arabic franchise or something. I remember I was debating with one guy. No, we started it. He goes, no, it's from Dubai. Like the guy was debating with me, like, no, it's not you lot. So anyway,
Really?
so some of the lessons that I've learned, it kind of broke out of my eggshell.
Mm.
It
I'll
kind
get
of
that.
turned me into a man as well, in terms of leadership, in terms of negotiations. Yes, on the documentary, it seems like, my negotiation styles are very rigid and,
Abrupt.
it's like abrupt and, with no logics and thoughts. And I'm doing a video series myself explaining, because everything that was on the documentary, there's a big story behind it. So just seeing that statement is kind of, obviously, I understand from a viewer's point of view, because they don't know that's
the
the
whole
only thing
context
that
wasn't shown.
but there is a whole big context. So I learned leadership, I learned about resilience, I learned about capital fundraising, I learned about share valuations, how a company is valued, all of this stuff. I used to ask the CFO, like, but how does this work? So how do you value? Like, you don't have anything though. Like, how do you then value the company? So many things that I've learned and I apply in my retail businesses or fast food business, whatever it is. The lessons it's a very expensive kind of
I
lesson.
can imagine.
But I think it taught me so much, and it taught me to play in the big boys league. So when you're dealing with extremely ultra smart people, you have to have a certain style of kind of approach. And a lot of it is emotional intelligence. It's not about what you read on the book. It's a lot on the go.
Had to conduct yourself in certain meetings.
So
See,
the approach.
Because different.
So it taught me, and I think it taught me a lot about PR and public relations and how to generate noise or like with no cost.
If you were to start again, let's just say you had the opportunity to start again in the aviation business, what would you have done differently?
What would I do differently? So, inshallah, I will start again at some point.
Oh, so the dream's still alive, yeah?
Of course, it's
The
unfinished
dream's still
business.
alive. Yeah, I like
Business.
that. You've heard it here first, guys, yeah?
Unfinished business, whether it's 5 years' time or 10 years' time, inshallah, my name will not go down with the, at least with Firnas, because I've invested way too much.
I actually believe that, though. From your story and the amount of perseverance you had to get to even to where you are now, and to even understand, like, the amount of setbacks you've gone through, even with Firnas, I believe that you will.
Inshallah. So right now, I'm just kind of regrouping, gathering my thoughts, what went wrong, what I could do differently. And yes, if I could do it again right now, of course, I'll make sure that I think it really, really through. Like, think it all. Think from all angles.
Would it be Shariah-compliant, though?
Deep down, kind of under wraps, because I would like to consider myself to be a servant of Allah, and for that reason I need to make sure the absolute basics are maintained. That is not to do certain things.
Alcohol on board.
Alcohol, of course. Even tube, like if you go on London tube, you're not allowed alcohol, so why should it be allowed on
I did.
40,000?
I remember when I
Dangerous,
first
right?
encountered, alcohol being allowed on planes, it kind of took me back a little bit, because I'm thinking, with alcohol, people can get crazy.
They do. So if you travel with some of the Asian or airlines that are traveling to Indian subcontinent or Bangladesh or Pakistan, if you see someone drunk, you'll see how they behave. They have to be tied down with the rope, and that happens a lot in Bangladesh Airlines.
That's the last place you want to be dealing with any craziness on an aeroplane.
Exactly.
Because, people are already anxious as it is being in a plane. that high in the sky, and then to deal with someone that's going a bit crazy, I feel uncomfortable. You know these planes that you see that these trips to like Ibiza, and everyone
mad. It's
pissed, and like everyone, and they're like jumping up and down.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Everyone takes seat.
It's crazy, and for me, I think it's more about the core principles that riba, the how the companies run. Is it run ethically? Is it fair? Is it fair in its own dealings with its people, with the staff, with the stakeholders? You wouldn't want to lie. You don't want to deceive anyone. These are all kind of Sharia principles. You know, you're not meant to take advantage of people, of situations, and these are all Sharia principles. So yes, it's about Sharia compliance, and I think it will be very much a Sharia compliant business internally, for sure. Maybe we're not going to kind of
As a marketing tactic.
we might not kind of sing and dance about, hey, we're Sharia compliant. Yes, once we're fully established and once we've kind of got the show going, maybe we'll say, you know what?
I'll get that.
It is Sharia compliant, and this is why it's Sharia compliant. It's not about enforcement. We're not saying, hey, because you're such and such, you can't travel with us. That's not what it is. It's how we conduct ourselves.
It's
not about outwards kind of enforcement. It's about how we enforce ourselves.
Do you reckon that was like a misconception then?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I realized that myself, actually what we're doing is not really enforcing anything on anyone. It's a kind of compliance side on our side.
Is that your values, your morals or principles as a business that you're trying to show to everyone? However, it's not something that you're enforcing everyone to do.
It's like halal monitoring committee. It doesn't. It's halal, and it comes with a certain standards. It's the standards that you follow. Halal monitoring committee is not saying, hey, because it's not slaughtered from us, such and such is not halal. They're just minding their own business. If you want certain reassurance, then you buy from us, and if you're okay with it, then you buy somewhere else.
Was that one of the biggest backlashes then that you received? The fact that it came across as enforcing?
Yeah, I think so. I think as soon as people hear the word Sharia, they think it's enforcement, that black flag and the Syria situation. It's all about terrorism and enforcement.
Well, you have to be mindful of these things, isn't it? Because
look, I don't blame people for thinking that, because at some point I was thinking, what are we doing? Is it compliance or is it enforcement?
Yeah.
And then my conclusion was, no, we're not enforcing anything on anyone. It's our own compliance. It's our own kind of culture and values. And those values are good for customers. Ultimately, it's good for customers.
Another point that I wanted to address was the Abdul situation. Because
Abdul, come forward.
Abdul, bye, go back. Abdul, never come back.
Is Abdul coming back anytime soon?
Laughing.
I did try to reach out to Abdul Bhai, and even if he reaches back out to me today, then I would definitely
you seem like a sincere brother,
Look, honestly, so how it all happened, Abdul Bhai's situation, I never wanted him to go. I never ever wanted him to go.
From my perspective, it looked like this.
What he said.
From the way the whole documentary was presented, because that's the only view I've taken. I'm seeing, because I haven't looked online or anything like that. I've just seen the documentary, and it seemed as because he seemed, was he just like an enthusiast? Was he special?
Initially, he was, yes. So we met on an online forum. So you can imagine,
you just waiting for
Yeah. So we go talking. Two enthusiasts got talking, and then we ended up going to a few meetings together, and we never kind of realized this is becoming quite a serious appointment or engagement.
Was it like a 50-50 thing? Was it?
No, there was no shareholding involvement at all.
Okay.
I was funding it all up until obviously we went to raise some funds, but I was kind of, so he was, again, like me, he was doing minicabbing at some point. And I said, look, forget this. How much would it cost for you to sit in the office and just think about this all day long? And he said,
wouldn't that be the dream for him?
Absolutely. And I think what went wrong, and I guess every business leader finds themselves in that situation in a growing stage of a company. You have a certain group of core people, and then the company grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And as such, that leader kind of
okay.
He gets higher in terms of because he's got more people under him, and his kind of authority kind of goes higher and higher, and he needs to make certain decisions for the interest of the shareholders, the company. Okay. It's not necessarily about
nothing personal.
Yeah, nothing personal. So I think I was going at a stage where, so you're going through it. So licensing process with the authorities. There's 5 components that you have to meet, 5 positions, and those positions have to be filled by, experienced, qualified people. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Abdul Bai wasn't part of that mix.
Yeah.
So there was other people involved. Obviously, with that comes with a lot of opinions, with a lot of ways of doing things, and you have to kind of let them do what they need to do. And I think that's where kind of the whole
So you offered him
tension developed.
You offered him that job, and then what did he say in response when you said to him what?
We accepted. It was like, yes, there was months where I couldn't pay on time, but I've always made sure the payment was made. It wasn't such that where,
of course, yeah,
I didn't pay. I did pay, and I'm sure he will never ever be able to prove to me that I have not paid the agreed amount of money that I've agreed to pay. I don't do business like that. If I said to you I'm going to pay you £1, then I'll pay you £1. If I said to you I'm going to give you £100, I'll give you £100. But I'm not going to agree to something that I can't afford.
Of course.
So I will negotiate like crazy at the time of negotiation, just to make sure that I manage your expectations and my kind of capabilities. Otherwise, that would be stupid.
Because when he left, I think it was on a sour note at that point, wasn't it?
It was because, I wanted him to stay beside me, always like with me. That way, like, it would have been good because we would have been kind of one force together.
Yeah.
And the moment he kind of disassociated from that or put himself into a role, a specific role, then you're kind of under attack from other sharks.
So that's
So it was a thing.
bit of a grey area, isn't it? Because I don't know if did you push him out? 'Cause
No.
So he walked out himself.
He walked out.
But what did he say?
He said, "I'm no longer part of it. I don't want to be part
It's
of
like
it."
a financial thing. Like he's not getting as much.
So his view was he needed to kind of maintain a certain authority, and of course, I'm happy for him to have the authority.
I'll get it.
But at the same
But he
time,
didn't have an experience or knowledge
yes,
to be on that
and
authority.
we can't pretend.
And you have got shareholders.
We can't pretend to have certain.
It's like saying, I want to be a chief financial officer, but I don't have no financial background.
Exactly. So those people are going on the license, and they will represent the brand from a regulatory point of view. So me and Abdul effectively become almost nothing.
Nothing.
We're just kind of assisting those people
Pushing
to get the
because
job
they're
done.
experts in whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
You guys are the sort of.
So effectively, just like him, I was also nothing. I was just kind of working for those people at that point. And I had to put my ego aside, and I had to recognize that this is not my thing. You know what? Going into a plane and say, "Hey, let me fly that plane with you." Like, no, go back in your seat.
It's not a joke, is it?
It's not a joke. So I think that's where we kind of developed a lot of tension, and even I did reach out to him many times, and it was quite unsuccessful. I tried to use other intermediaries to kind of reach out to try and mend things. So I don't like to leave bad relationships. I always, even though if I know that they were wrong or I was right, I always try to make it up, because what's the point, man?
This is a prime example of because your situation is quite interesting actually, because with Sunnamusk, for example, I know it's like a family-run business. You got a lot of.
It's a family-owned, but it's not a family-run.
Okay. At the beginning, I'm pretty sure it's.
Yes, it was run by me, my brother Abid, and a few other staff. But
and that in itself is a difficult thing for certain people.
It's very difficult.
If you want to, let's just say, for example, we want to get into business and I agreed on something and you didn't, I'm sure there's going to be tension, and who takes the
lead, who's
the lead, and
when there's age, like when there's seniority of brothers involved, it makes it even more difficult, because they can use the veto card of, I'm older, I said so. And it can,
in our culture as well, it's always you listen to the elders. So how did you navigate that then? Because I know working with your friend is one thing, and then working with family is a different board.
I think it's whatever happens, man, it happens for the best. Because at that time, certain things I probably didn't agree with my brothers, and they really pushed me back.
Has there been moments like that?
There was moments where they stopped me from doing things.
Yeah.
and I had no other way but to just say, you know what, okay, fine. Like, I will accept that my idea can't get implemented.
You can't call it Jet Musk.
Jet Musk. And it's okay. And I
Jet Musk, go back.
So yeah, you have to accept. So sometimes you can't be just so I don't know, is narcissistic the word, like in business settings, like where you just have to have your way around and you have to just stand down sometimes.
If you're doing it from a point of egotistical ways, like I'm the boss, I want it my way, it's been working, it's going to work, I don't want to listen to anyone else's opinion, then I think that's probably the wrong approach. I think if you were to sit down again, because this is the thing, like I've been in business with like a friend of mine, and as soon as we realized that we weren't on the same page, that's when it became difficult. It's like for me, for example, you overlook a lot of things because you're excited about the business itself. You kind of ignore certain things and you kind of brush it away up until a point where you kind of gets to a point where you just explode. It's just like,
absolutely, 100%.
So I haven't really done business with family, so I can only imagine the struggles. But then
I think I could have communicated myself better as well. Like if I wanted to get certain ideas across, like maybe I should have communicated in a much more kind of, I suppose, calmer manner with research behind it. And I suppose I could have also, sometimes you don't need to tell everything. So I think I have a habit of just trying to say everything, and then that presents a challenge.
It's hard, bro. It's hard because you're the older brother and you expect them to just trust you.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Eddie. You should. I'm telling you. I'm your older.
I don't have to tell you why.
I don't have to tell you. Yeah, because I'm older than you. I know. Yeah. So that's the thing that gets involved as well at the back of your head.
And back of your mind, like they haven't really done the business. Like the way you know your nuts and bolts, they don't know because they are not part of it.
Has the vision always been aligned though with you brothers at the beginning?
I think vision was always of quality, great customer service, and developing an amazing brand. And we're nowhere near it, but we are working towards it, and we're working very hard for it.
Who runs the business fair?
Abid, the current CEO, he's taken on leadership since 2018 when I became extremely busy with Firnas, and I felt it was not right for me to, be half. And I thought, you know what? So I told him in 2017, look, you gotta get ready now to take over.
Time to wear the big boy.
Yeah. And then he did. So under his leadership, he went from 6 stores to now 25 and 50.
He's doing something
50 or so employees to almost 300 plus. So we have alhamdulillah great team, but of course he's talented and he's got good leadership skills. And I think that's where me and him are very different. I now call myself the startup man.
Yeah.
So I can take it to a certain level and stage, and then I would like to then hand it over to someone who can take off.
So much more that I wanted to unpack in this podcast, but we are coming towards the endish. So one of the things that I think we've started to talk a lot more is the mental health aspect of sort of business. Because I know, again, going back to the documentary on Channel 4 in regards to you setting up Firnas, there was a moment where you realised where it wasn't working out and you kind of waited to kind of tell your family. Now, I can only imagine the kind of pressure that was on your head because when for example, you've done Sunnamusk, it's worked out, now you're on to this next big thing. And like you said, you probably said, I'm starting my own airline. The community is obviously looking at you thinking, mashallah, he's doing such a big project. And, unfortunately, it didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Now you've had to go turn around and say to your wife, your brothers and whatever, your family, say, it's not happening. What was that like?
It was difficult. It was so difficult. I flew out to Bangladesh because my wife and my family was in Bangladesh at that time. And I thought, you know what? I just need a kind of some space to breathe because it's a lot to take on. And when the pressure is... So again, the difference between aviation or anything travel related, the difference is time constraint. So when you get on a process, you can't just turn off a cost because you can't afford it or you don't want to pay for it. Because if you turn off one cost, it has a domino effect on everything else. So if you say to one of the guys who are part of the license, hey, look, I can't afford to pay you anymore, he will say, yeah, okay, fine, then I will stop my clock. And if he stops the clock, everything comes to a standstill. So while everything comes to a standstill, other people are ready to work. You still have to pay them because you've committed to them. So it was just so much. Either you go forward and everything goes like the project goes forward together, or you stop everything and stop all costs. You can't be like, I'll stop one cost and I'll not stop this cost, because the whole entire project stops.
Because there's
Small nut.
no income coming in, is it? Or
Say that again?
there was no income coming in?
No, because that's the difference with aviation as well. You spend all the money up front with the hope that you will make money once you launch. Most likely you probably will if you're lucky, and if you're not lucky, then you're finished like in no time. That's the nature of this industry. If it goes up, if all the kind of everything is in check, and if it's all good, then the business will go up so fast, it's unimaginable, at an unimaginable speed. Because you're not dealing with one area to another, not from London to Milton Keynes to Glasgow. You're talking about countries.
Oof.
You're flying to different countries. The world is your business place. So if it goes up fast. If it goes down, before you even thought about it, it's gone, finished, khalas, done. So you're kind of stuck in between everything. Like, what do I do? Like, you're trying to, Abdul on one side, you've got this one on side, you've got this problem on one side. Like, you're trying to make sure everything is moving forward. You've got this aircraft on standby, you've got this team on standby. Everything is costing you money every single hour, every single minute.
And everyone's asking you, okay, what
And
do you- what do you-
everyone's kind of like, everyone's got their own challenges that they need to overcome. And then when you have unnecessary challenges, then you think, oh my God, like, why this?
More stress I didn't.
And then I thought, what, let me just take some time out, go Bangladesh. And, when you tell your problem to someone, sometimes you feel like that problem, half of the problem is gone away
Yeah.
because you just told someone about it. So sometimes it can look negatively on you. Maybe in your mind, you might think, what, I feel like a bit inadequate at the moment because I kind of let down and I failed. But you have to sometimes, if you can share the problem, because sometimes sharing your problem can be also counterproductive, but mainly when it comes to personal issues. But if it's a business issue, then you can talk to another business friend, and sometimes they might come up with a different perspective and different idea that will really solve your problem. So I have a friend that I meet, regularly, every other week. We just talk. Sometimes we have, I know I shouldn't say this, shisha. And you if you see us together, you'll see like he's on his phone, I'm on my phone. Like, we're supposed to be talking, but we'll talk in between,
Okay.
and then we'll do our own thing, and then we'll start talking again. So it's kind of nice.
Like
we kind of
time.
just repeat what we are doing on a daily basis, and then your brain picks up new things, new information, new ideas, new kind of techniques. So for sure, sharing your challenges with someone that you trust is very important. That will take off some stress off you, some pressure off you. And also what I realized as well, I used to be, I think I was overweight. So my BMI chart told me that I was overweight. I used to eat the wrong food. I used to, not exercise at all. And I used to feel lethargic, at 2 p.m., during the day. I used to feel like I'm zoning out.
How much weight you lost? You look.
So I was 85 kilo during the process when I was dealing with Firnas, like, traveling to different places, eating whatever. Because that was not a thing in my agenda, the health aspect. And when it all kind of, when the pressure came down on me, I thought, how do I, cope with this pressure? So I started walking. I started, because I done all these gym memberships, many times, and I ended up paying so much money for it and never used the gym memberships. And then I realized this time, I'm not going to buy a gym membership until I qualified to myself that I can be consistent with my routine. So what I would do, I would just go for walks. I would go for short runs. I would go at least about three times a week. Even if I remember one day it was raining, I thought, what? If I stopped today, then that's it. I'm not gonna be able to maintain that consistency. So what I done that day, I just went for a walk, like with the umbrella. It was just so that my routine can be managed. It can carry on. So I think that really helped me. And then I became used to the whole idea of jogging. And then I realized, what? When I jog, I feel better because I feel like more ideas are coming to my mind. And then when I research, obviously, I realize there's more kind of reasons why that happens. You kind of, I guess, get certain energies are released, and certain feelings are released, and your blood is kind of pumping faster, and it's circulating way faster, and it's, I guess, conditioning your body as well. So I felt the more I kind of done joggings, the more I felt like the pressure was lesser. So I think being active
as well.
helped a lot with the pressure and anxiety and I don't know if it was anxiety. The way I define anxiety, anything that does make you anxious.
Yeah.
So I was very anxious at some point where you have lots of loans associated to your own name, because nobody's gonna loan you money to your aviation company because they don't trust.
Also, this is all in your personal.
It's all kind of personally guaranteed, and you don't know who's gonna call on the next.
So you basically put a lot on the line for team.
Everything on the line. I banked everything. I put everything on the line. I thought it was this way or no way. Like, it's either gonna happen or I die trying.
I think, like you said, you kind of thrive in that pressure as well.
Literally, do you know what? Sometimes when I don't have the pressure, I feel like I'm useless. I'm not doing something. There's something is missing in my life.
I get that. Yeah. Because without the pressure, it feels like there's nothing that needs immediate attention.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna crumble if I don't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just floating, doing.
And I think at that point, that's where Sunnamusk was. That's what was happening, I think, in Sunnamusk at that time, because I couldn't do what I wanted to do because not everybody was aligned with the vision. So obviously, what do? So I just kind of do the day-to-day stuff, and I need a bigger challenge. And I thought, you know what, now is the time.
So I know you mentioned Firnas is not dead in the water just yet. Well, inshallah, it will never be, but the dream is still alive, very much alive. But what is next for you? What is on the agenda? Is it to grow Sunnamusk even bigger? Is it? I know you've opened Buddies as well, which is another one of your businesses, mashallah. But what is the goal?
My goal right now is to regather myself, pay all my debts off. I do have debts, and of course every month I have to pay a certain amount from my income, salaries. Once that is all sorted, inshallah, it's going good. It's making good progress. Alhamdulillah. The people that I owe, they have been very understanding. And I think it's all about communication as well. Just letting them know that you are around. No, you haven't kind of
run up.
You haven't blocked them off. And the moment people realize and that's one thing that I would advise to anyone. Sometimes you might have to borrow money, and it's okay. Yeah. But make sure you communicate with them if you can't pay. That's all it takes. Pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I was supposed to pay you in few days' time. Such and such happened, and this is the reason why I have to pay on such and such date." Don't say, "I'll let you know."
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Give them a specific, clear indication on what you are doing about it. Just like banks, right? They want to see a plan. Like, even if it's £1, I want to see a plan that you are going to honor that plan. Don't just tell me wishy-washy answers.
Oh, yeah, you'll get it back.
So pay my debts off, for sure. And then, inshallah, obviously, I am trying to kind of help with Abid, with whether it's motivation, inspiration, maybe thinking of new ideas, on how we can solve a problem in a much easier way. Maybe innovation could be one thing. So while I'm behind the scene, while I'm kind of busy with few other bits and bobs, so Buddies was a technique to hopefully help me fast track my debt payment.
Okay.
Because I could say pay someone certain amount of money and that money is paid off, khalas, that person's happy.
Yeah.
But I've got way more people that I need to pay. So I thought, you know what, let me put the money here, and then that will then generate some more money. And then from the proceeds and the income and the salaries, then I'll pay, more people in a much quicker way.
Okay, mashallah.
So
at the end of the day, bro, you don't start from scratch, you start from experience.
Yeah. So this is a technique, hopefully, and it's working. I think it's not going to be any new businesses definitely in the horizon for the foreseeable future. So after Buddies, there will be nothing else. What I am doing is working on myself, my communications, my speaking skills, so I guess health was a big part, trying to lose some weight. So I weigh about 70 kilo now.
Mashallah.
So 70 kilo plus a bit of muscle. So that's an amazing achievement. I won't take all the credit. It's all thanks to my PT. You know, without him, I wouldn't have been able. Honestly, wallahi, I tried it. You know,
I'm so tired.
every time it got hard,
He's done the road.
I just left. I said, yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
But when you're paying someone a certain amount of money, and remember the cost element I was talking to you,
Yeah, I
add
was
cost.
gonna say add
For the
cost.
love of your money,
Yeah.
you are going to take
Yeah.
action. And that's how you trick your
It's
brain to
accountability.
doing some things.
I agree with that.
Same with going to gym. If you feel it's so hard, then don't tell yourself, I'm going to go and do my chest workout today. Just say, I'm just going to go into the gym. I'm just going to go and have a little walk
The hardest
around.
part is getting there.
Yeah. So once you're in, you'll see all these
Yeah.
people doing all these activities.
And
But
that's
you know what? I would be stupid to
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
walk
yeah,
out. I've made all the effort. I might as well do something. And once you're in, you said, I need to finish it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to hack your brain sometimes, most of the times. And I think once the whole kind of situation is fully clear, once I have a full clear direction in terms of what's happening with Firnas, because it's so hard, man.
No,
So hard to just it's like you're emotionally kind of attached. And after that, you've got so many people that have believed in you, and you feel like you're letting them down as well. So you have this massive burden on your shoulders. Maybe people are not thinking that way, but you kind of
But you to yourself.
like make that thought in your head where people are counting on you to deliver, because a lot of people did want this to happen. And
I want this to happen, and I believe that with your determination and the reasons and the experience that you've gained from everything that you've gone through, you're in the best position to make it work.
inshallah, I've learned all the don'ts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's only up from now.
Exactly. So I will definitely not make those mistakes, and I will definitely, for sure, have a better control over the team. Not just so like we think you have someone and you kind of take a step back
Take
to a
back
point
seat,
where
yeah.
you trust them so much because of the capabilities, but they're also human beings. What a leader's responsibility should be to make sure, constantly check with the radar that they are within that plan that
They're
you
on
set
track.
out to do. If they are outside of the plan, you need to bring them back. So I would definitely have a much better control over the team, and I would always vet and cross-check anything that they say. But for sure, I will not make... I would probably be a lot more kind of cautious in terms of who I deal with, who I work with. I will definitely want to hire... If I was to do it again, I would hire the best of the best of the best. Before, I was going for like... So if I was to give you a football example, so you've got the Champions League player, like this is like the top of the top, like the dons of the football players. And then we've got the local FCs, they do some competitions and tournaments, and they win games as well, but they are not Champions League players. And the Champions League player is way more expensive. And
Yeah.
but if you can get a player, then your team will kind of thrive.
You pay for what you get.
Yeah. So assembling a stellar team. When I mean a stellar team, I would say like literally investing a lot of money in finding the right team, and then they will kind of...
Because then they make it work for you.
They make it work, and even the fundraising becomes easy for you because of the team. The assembly of the
Look,
team.
we've got so and so with certain amount of experience, and
Yeah.
we've got another engineer, we've got another person, and if they believe in you and your team,
Yeah.
because your job at that point will be just expressing your journey.
Yeah, and just making sure these people are working coherently with one another, and that's your job.
Makes sense. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you.
I
feel like there's so much to say.
I feel as if we're definitely going to need a part 2 of this, because even for myself, like I said at the beginning, I knew there's going to be so much that we want to unpack, and it's always hard, especially for yourself. There's so much that we want to uncover.
There's so much.
And there's so much to learn from, and there's so much that we want to talk about. It's always hard in the first episode. So inshallah, if you allow, we'll definitely do part 2, man. But if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
I'm mostly active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So LinkedIn, and I do have a website, kazirahman.co.uk, and that has got all my stuff on there.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this podcast episode, then please hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.